Warning. This video contains mature language, themes, violence, blood, and gore. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's great to be back. It's 2021. I hope everyone's Christmas and New Year's was excellent, but like usual, the anime abyss train doesn't stop, as I got plenty more animes to review for the year. And what better way to start the new year than with some ultra-violent schlock? I couldn't think of any better way to start the new year off with a bang than with the notorious Angel Cop. It was one of those animes. You know, the kind of anime at the time that you would hear about in the halls of convention centers via word of mouth that people would swear up and down about, that you had to watch because of how violent and over the top it was, despite the quality of said anime, just because of how new anime was at the time. Most younger folk that consider themselves otaku today really don't have the context of what being an anime fan at the time really meant. Anime was so new, and certain titles like Akira, when it was shown stateside in 1989, didn't even get a theater release, only being shown at conventions with no subtitles and no English dub. Yet the animation was so amazing and well produced as a film, it made everyone think that anime was just the best thing ever, and that no matter what else came after, nothing that released could possibly be terrible. And people in the West were just begging for more. Anime back then was more romanticized at the time that it didn't really matter whether the anime they watched was good or bad. As long as they had more anime to consume and was at least entertaining, that was more than enough. But sometimes this came at the detriment of the actual people who considered themselves fans, getting some really awful, trashy anime that while we looked at them in awe at the time because of how new it was, we just kind of roll our eyes at now. It also probably didn't help that the general mainstream audience viewed anime as nothing more than trashy exploitation films, snuff films, or even porn, all of which was in no short supply. You have to realize that back then, Americans still viewed anything that was 2D and animated were just quote-unquote cartoons meant for kids. In fact, this naive mindset at the time was so prevalent that video rental stores like Blockbuster and Hollywood Video would accidentally put hentai titles in the kids section because it had 2D characters on it. So it's obviously a kids cartoon, leading to more controversy and causing distributors to put warnings on VHS and DVDs that it definitely was not for children. It's a great reminder of how simpler a time the anime industry was when the anime studios back in the day, instead of focusing too much on how good of a story it was trying to tell, rather focused on how exploitive and violent and sexual they were, just to grab people's attention. And as shallow as that sounds, to its credit, it worked. As sad as that is to say. So if you ever wondered why most bargain bin animes of its time were as gory and violent as Jeffrey Dahmer's house and had more tits all over the place than Mardi Gras, now you know why. When Angel Cop came out, the burgeoning anime industry in the West was starving for content, and media companies from Media Blasters, Urban Vision, Central Park Media, Manga Entertainment, and ADV all wanted a piece of the pie, scrambling to find specific anime titles that would not only define them as a distributor, but also keep anime fans coming back for more so they can have the coin to distribute more anime. That being said, not every title they could acquire could be on the level of titles like Ghost in the Shell, Akira, Wings of Oniamize, or hell, even a Neon Genesis Evangelion for that matter. For every successful classic acting as the cream of the crop, at the bottom of the barrel there was always lower production at best, and also schlocky, exploitative, and needlessly and overtly sexual and gruesomely over-the-top violent titles at worst. And to be fair, I'm not saying that animes that are overtly violent or exploitative means that they are bad per se, but it's hard to deny that a lot of bad anime from this time period fit those descriptors perfectly well and rested on those laurels just to sell VHS tapes and DVDs in the short term and did very little to future-proof their legacy. And Angel Cop is no exception. But how bad is it really? When it came down to the internet rhetoric surrounding the content we like or dislike, people tend to lean far to one side or the other. Either A, the anime is the best thing I've ever seen in my life, or B, this is the worst piece of camel shit I've ever laid eyes on, with very little wiggle room in between, even going so far as to exaggerate how bad or good something is with very little nuance in said conversations. For example, in my review of Armitage III the OVA, I came to the conclusion that the anime isn't anywhere near as bad as some people would make it seem, despite its flaws. Though I can completely understand why some people may not like it, and even go so far as to fervently hate it, whereas even anime classics such as Cowboy Bebop hasn't escaped criticism either, even some people going so far to call it an overrated piece of crap. But don't mind them, they're just stupid and wrong. Okay, joking aside, I do understand why some may not like it. Whether it's just people's nature to be a contrarian about anything that reaches mainstream success, or if it just didn't appeal to their sensibilities or didn't grow up with it as it is a product of its time, so by default they just see it as lesser in their eyes. And to be fair, I understand. So where does that leave Angel Cop? Is it actually an underrated anime classic? Oh boy, I can't even finish that sentence with a straight face. Oh Jesus. Well, let's just get into it. This is Angel Cop. No, that's not it. Fast forward. Fuck, that's not it either. You know what? Take that shit out. It's oh, here it is. Alright, there we go. So I gave you guys some context in regards to the time and environment Angel Cop was released in, but I haven't given you much background on the people behind it. So let's do a brief history lesson on the people responsible for this turd. Like most animes, it's very rare when an animated film or series isn't made based on an already established IP, whether it be books, mangas, or even films, and Angel Cop is no different. Angel Cop is based on a manga of the same name, written and illustrated by Taku Kitazaki, who's mostly known for making slice-of-life romance mangas, such as the Cupid series. However, he has delved into making action mangas in the past, like the Tearful Soldier series and Angel Cop, which only has one volume, by the way, and, well, he's not too fond of looking back on the past, so to speak. Ironically enough, despite the amount of wealth of scanlations that exist for manga enthusiasts wanting to get their hands on mangas that would otherwise stay exclusive to Japan, for some reason Angel Cop didn't get that same treatment, and I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing. So unfortunately, I can't tell you whether the manga is good or not, aside from the images online that is available. In any case, it was published in New Type magazine from June to September 1989, and generally follows the same story as the anime. However, the manga, while also being violent, had some notable differences, and I'll address those as it comes up. The anime, however, was made by Studio Dast, the studio only having 4 productions under their belt, such as Battle Royale High School, Yume Makura Baku Twilight Gekijo, and... No... Nobody talks about Violence Jack. No wonder they went out of business. As for the people responsible behind its production, the anime was directed by Ichiro Itano, a really well-respected and influential animator who worked on plenty of influential shows, films such as Crusher Joe, Megazone 23, Wings of Oniamize, Cowboy Bebop the movie, Urusei Yatsura, the Gundam series, and of course one of the MILF fucking grandpas of anime that influenced a generation of otaku, animators, writers, and directors alike, Macross, or as the plebs like to call it in the States, Robotech, and boy is that a whole can of worms on its own that I don't have the time for in this video. In any case, Ichiro was so influential in the world of anime and animation that he was known for a specific type of animation that was so uniquely his own, that anyone that tried to replicate it named this specific style after the man. The Itano Circus. Basically, it describes the kind of stylish and acrobatic animation that is used in regards to dogfights in animation, from the way the camera moves, the plane/robots, and of course, don't forget the missiles.
Oh yeah, just through the missiles. What are you, nuts?
If you're cool, then you got that reference. Basically, if you've seen any dogfights in anime post Macross, you've seen this type of animation, guaranteed. Hell, that aside, the anime that he works on, including Angel Cop, generally are known for some really good animation and production value. So overall, he is really good at what he does. But he's also known for another thing as well. His propensity for violence. Need I say more? And look, I'm not saying that I can't enjoy films that have such over-the-top violence, as one of my favorite films of all time is Brain Dead. It's not really the oh shit kind of violence, it's more the cruel and unusual, vomit-inducing, and really uncomfortable kind of violence. In fact, he was so notorious for this that some of the stuff he worked on was known to be censored or removed overseas. Guess what else he worked on? Also, it's no wonder he also worked on Gantz. To be fair, this kind of violence can be used to good effect depending on the work and someone with a deft enough hand to write a story around it. That doesn't make it look like complete B-movie trash. Think something like Martyrs, for example. Angel Cop, on the other hand, it uses violence to the same effect as a 4-year-old eating crayons. Also, Ichiro Itano, he's kind of fucking insane. Okay, these are anecdotes that I got from Wikipedia, so take these with a grain of salt, but considering that some of these contain actual references to magazine or web articles, I'm willing to believe they are true. Apparently there was a time that he claimed that he would drive his motorcycle through the gaps of buses and trucks on highways in order to, quote, improve his dynamic vision, claiming on an NHK broadcast, and I quote, "I think I improved the dynamic eyesight of Japanese children." Or how about when he went to the US to fly in mock air battles in a fighter jet for reference material for Macross Plus, instead of listening to his instructor, he just pulled the stick straight up and blacked out in the sky in a fucking fighter jet. What a fucking mad lad. As for its writer, it was written by Sho Aikawa, and oh man, he's a doozy. To be fair, Sho Aikawa isn't a bad writer, as in more recent years he's worked on some pretty good and even successful animes, like The 12 Kingdoms, Martian Successor Nadesico, Eureka 7 Astral Ocean, and of all things, Full Metal Alchemist. You know, Adult Swim pre-Brotherhood era Full Metal Alchemist. That's the funny thing. His earlier works not only had a tendency to be pretty bad, but also were very nihilistic, fuck humanity centric shitfest to boot. I mean, this is the same guy that worked on shit like Legend of the Overfiend, Genocyber, and the least amount of time I have to hold this fucking thing in my hand, the better. Yeah, he wrote some really hateful shit. And Angel Cop is no different, though not as bad. I don't know what woman gave him a fucking blowjob to calm him the fuck down and write some normal shit for once, but whoever that was, we thank you. Okay, so that's the backstory on who made this piece of shit. And I know what you may be asking. With the given source material and the two creative forces working on it melding together like a seamless, deformed mutant PB&J sandwich, how did the anime come out? Well, let's take it from the top. So, what is Angel Cop about? The setting takes place in an alternate reality Japan that has become the dominant superpower instead of countries like America or Russia.
In the mid-1990s, the government established a House Committee for Terrorist Affairs. Its function was to investigate the aims, the means, and the membership of any organization or individual involved either directly or indirectly in terrorism. To combat them, the committee recommended the establishment of a new elite force. It was to have wide-ranging powers, and its agents would act as the cutting edge against terrorism. In fact, they would become judge, jury, and executioner.
Okay, stop. What is with this narration? Just a zoom in on some skyscrapers with a dispassionately given narration describing what's going on? At the very least, give us some imagery to show us instead of just telling us. Also, by the by, the special unit is the judge, jury, and executioner.
You betray the law!
Judge Dredd called, he wants his plot back. Well, in any case, my wish is sorta granted as some missiles from a bug on the highway hits the nearby American embassy, causing someone from the special unit to do an investigation, coming to a conclusion that the Red May must be involved somehow.
I'll get onto his chief and make sure he's given a hard time. Huh? Oh, Jesus. I can't believe it. How did a little dork like this end up with one of these? Yeah, there's no mistake. He's definitely one of them.
Come on, give it back. I haven't got all day.
My God, he really is one of those special security agents I heard the rumors about. I can't believe they're for real. They're licensed to kill.
And I should know too. That motherfucker has a badge. If only I had one of those. Hey, wait a minute. This is Raiden. And come the fuck on with that outfit, my dude. Not only does he wear a leather jacket with it unzipped with no shirt underneath, but he also has his aviators to boot, while riding a motorcycle and a helmet that he doesn't even bother to fasten to his head like he didn't need one to begin with. If there was any outfit that says in all capital letters, "I'm a huge tool," I don't know what does. Also, as an aside, it's very obvious where this film's political leanings lie. While I normally try to avoid this kind of topic in my reviews, it's somewhat pertinent to the story. I mean, let's think about this. The special unit is hunting down a left-leaning radical terrorist group called the Red May. Now, I was going to write a goof here regarding a particular modern analog, but, you know, they're just an idea. Big Brother loves us all. Well, in any case, Raiden here ends up finding one of the Red May's hideouts and manages to get the best of the terrorists. But then she arrives.
Who's supplying you with all this stuff?
Go to hell. I ain't saying.
Die, you imperialist vermin!
Two body shots to disable, 2 headshots to kill. Textbook stuff. Whoever pulled this little number's a real pro. And a hardened killer.
Don't look so surprised. I'm your fucking backup.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the worst, most abhorrent female protagonists in anime, Angel. No, I'm serious. She's just the worst. It doesn't help that Angel's voice actor, Sharon Holm, is just painfully wooden that I feel I could knock on it.
I've heard some bullshit in my time, mister, but yours is the best.
You've just been brainwashed by the authorities.
Shut the fuck up, you self-righteous, moralizing commie scumbag. You make me sick. You think that anyone who doesn't agree with you must be brainwashed. You can't imagine that anyone could actually choose to hold a different point of view from your own. Well, let me tell you, it ain't necessarily the case. Oh, and another thing, unless you want a .45 caliber lobotomy real bad, I suggest you tell your friend over there to put that fucking knife down.
Which is saying something considering she did pretty well in her role as Shinobu Nagamo in the first 2 Pat Labor movies. But just having her try to act like an over-the-top tough bitch with an attitude and swearing up a storm, it's just awful. It's no wonder she barely had any other voice roles. Also, fun fact, Sharon Holm was Bruce Wayne's mom who got murdered in the 1989 Batman movie in the flashback scene. Angel as a person is just the worst kind of human being, and she's supposed to be the main character. The thing I really hate about her character is how immoral and self-righteous she is. I mean, she's supposed to be the good guy, girl, but she acts like a total cunt. To give some examples of what I mean, later on, Raiden and Angel chase after some terrorists in a van, getting into a gunfight which ends up resulting in Raiden getting into an accident, Angel almost getting blown up by an RPG, and does Angel help out her partner?
Angel, can you go on?
Yeah,
Forget about me. You get after him.
no problem.
God, she's a hard case, the bitch.
Gee, it's almost like the anime itself is self-aware and is trying to review this for me. In fact, I think the scene that perfectly sums up how much I hate her as a character is the scene preceding the one I just described.
What would you do if a terrorist took a child as a hostage?
Well, I guess I'd take the shot, as I might not get another opportunity.
You mean that you'd risk killing a child?
If the terrorist took the child hostage, then it'd be the terrorist's fault if the kid got blown away.
Wow, Angel, you really are the shining beacon of heroism, aren't you? And the hell of it is, she almost does! Yeah, during a raid on an office building later on, one of the terrorists who has a kid... Wait, what? Where'd the kid come from?
Where did you get that kid?
Off the street on the way here.
Oh, the classic fuck you, that's why answer. Alright. She does in fact shoot at the terrorist before... Actually, I'm gonna hold off on that because that would actually involve spoilers. Though I don't know why anyone would honestly care, to be honest, because this shit sucks. Look, to be fair, I understand the angle they were trying to go for in regards to the narrative and her character, as it definitely has a theme in regards to the moral grayness that the special unit presents in regard to their brand of justice. Hell, when they capture the main man behind the Red May, they torture him so bad to the point that his arm is actually rotting off, and they use boiling water on it to get him to squeal. And yet, the person I hate the most is the main character. Hell, she's such a cunt that even the other side characters call her out on how much of a bitch she is for not showing any concern about her partner when Raiden up and disappeared after his accident.
What?
It's incredible, but you really don't care if your partner lives or dies, do you?
Well, Raiden got himself into this mess, so I figure he should get himself out.
Your attitude totally sucks. It's a shame they didn't take you instead of him. Raiden's a decent guy. Start acting like a human being and I'll cut you some slack. Anyway, see you tomorrow, ice bitch.
I know, right? Fuck that bitch. In fact, the main character Angel is so unlikable to watch that at times it's almost made me want to root for the bad guys. And even the quote-unquote bad guys are even baffled by how much of a kill-hungry bitch she is.
Tell me why you're killing these terrorists!
You kill them too, don't you?
Yes, but it's my job to kill them! You're just the same as they are, murdering filth!
I'm sorry you feel that way. I thought you'd be sympathetic to our cause.
Wow, an officer of the law who hides behind a badge has an excuse to kill people. Man, if this anime was made today, all the defund the police and ACAB people would cancel this anime faster than you could say, "Don't shoot me, I'm black." Also, by the by, a 90s anime dub that has the characters cussing up and down like a sailor. Yep, this is a manga video dub. And it sucks. Though I'll say this about the dub, it is responsible for some of the funniest line deliveries I've ever heard.
They're called hunters!
You guys are just pissing in the wind.
No, we're pissing all over you!
Fuck you, baby!
You've underestimated the power of Japanese technology, you evil bitch!
Honestly, if it weren't for that, I probably would have tuned out of this film entirely, because nobody's going to be watching this anime for its plot. If anything, the good that it does mainly do comes down to its production. Even though the quality of the art style isn't the most attractive or the character designs the most memorable, and mishaps like this awful walk cycle that makes Taki here look like he's on the bow of a ship, ultimately the action and overall animation is entertaining, and in the end it kept me watching. Though I'm not going to lie, watching this film for the second time in a row just to take notes for this review truly highlighted to me the two major failings of this anime. The fucking awful story and the length. This anime has no fucking business being nearly 3 hours long. In fact, it's so shocking to me how it even made it to that length to begin with, but doing my notes, I understand why. It's a plot trying to be smart and have its cake too. And boy, does it suck like it's trying to win a prize. Sho Aikawa must have thought he was like some intellectual genius when he wrote this anime, because his skills as a writer at the time just did not match the level of political intrigue, themes, and even messages he seemed to be going for. Though, to be honest, I don't know what message he could have been going for, because his anime is just all over the place when it comes to its tone and plot, that all it does is dumbfound you when you think you know where it's going with the terrorism plot, only to then bring in powerful psychics who all, by the way, look like Brian May from Queen, Hermione Granger from Harry Potter, and Red Sonja herself, Brigitte Nielsen. Oh, by the way, spoilers from here on out. The moment the psychic trio called, what did the terrorist leader call them again?
They're called hunters!
Oh, right. Once they entered the picture, all of a sudden the political intrigue it was trying to build up just goes right out the fucking window. Because all I can think of when I see this shit...
Keep away from me, please keep away! My quarrel's not with you, I wish you no harm!
But you are guilty and must die!
I just shit myself! Oh sure, the moment the trio comes into the anime, it gets a little better, but not because it's good, just because it makes you stop thinking about the plot, if not for a little while, and just sit in awe about how wonderfully dumb this film is at times. Though it doesn't last that long, as it still cuts back and forth between dumb action and then boring discussions about the political motivations of the terrorists and why the psychics are killing them off. And it certainly isn't helped by the horrible characterization from Angel, our protagonist. Later on in the anime, Angel and the gang corner the terrorists in an office building when that scene I showed earlier with the terrorist holding the kid at gunpoint happens. Angel, the bitch that she is, shooting at him only to see that her bullets are stopped in midair, only for Brian May to kill him off, saving the kid, only for Angel to act like a total self-righteous bitch, threatening him for doing what she was already going to do to the terrorists anyway. You know, kill them? Like, where does Angel get off by shitting on the psychic trio for killing terrorists, when she herself would admit that she is just a psycho bitch who uses her authority to kill bad guys under the name of justice, even at the expense of innocent children? Hell, even Brian May points out how bizarre she is for her hypocrisy, as isn't it the goal of the special unit to bring an end to the Red May? So why would she care if the psychic trio is killing them off?
Tell me why you're killing these terrorists!
You killed them too, don't you?
Yes, but it's my job to kill them!
Oh, that's right. 'Cause she's a two-faced cunt. Moments like this just lead to me feeling very confused and disconnected from the plot, as it throws in multiple moments that beg the audience to take it seriously and make a side with Angel, which seems to be the intent, but not only does it not work, as Angel is just the worst, making me sympathize with the quote-unquote bad guys more so than Angel, but it just isn't smart enough of an anime, or written with a deft enough hand for that matter, or even for me to care about the plot or its nuances. This anime is so all over the place that it's almost like the story was written by throwing magnetic poetry at the fridge. Terrorists, psychics, RoboCop. Wait, what?
I suppose this circus freak's another member of your sideshow.
If you're a terrorist, then say your prayers, because you're gonna die.
He's not with you?
Okay. This fucking... So not only do we have a plot that has political intrigue and psychics, but also has RoboCop. I may be joking, but that's not far off, as not only is this guy nearly invincible to Brian May's psychic powers, but he also reveals to Angel that Murphy here is Raiden. You know, the guy Angel left behind injured from that motorcycle accident, who afterwards leads her on a chase only to be knocked out and given an explanation by Grand Moff Tarkin here of what happened to him. And just as an aside, by the way, I love Grand Moff Tarkin just because of how so in love he is with the fact that he's a mad scientist, even though he's supposed to be one of the good guys instead of taking over the world. Oh, I know what you're thinking. You think I'm going to be using that M. Bison clip from Street Fighter the movie. So I'll respond to you, the viewer, with a more proper clip.
What year is it?
In any case, Grand Moff Tarkin explains that the reason he turned him into a cyborg is because he was paralyzed due to the accident, and Tarkin needed a subject to turn into a super soldier more than capable of taking on the psychics. Which leads me to ask two questions. One, why isn't Raiden the main character? Not only is Angel just a repugnant piece of shit that I despise, it just contrasts badly on her more when you consider the more moral individual that actually believes in doing the right thing and has his head on straight on his shoulders is Raiden. For example, the reason Raiden becomes what he is because of the fact that he did something he actually believed was the right thing, which resulted in him being transformed into something almost unrecognizable. Made all the more worse that the government and country he was fighting to protect, he now had to fight back against in the name of self-preservation and sticking it to the corrupt assholes who ordered for their death. It's compelling storytelling. Angel, on the other hand?
Don't look so surprised. I'm your fucking backup.
You get dick all. If I didn't know any better, I would assume Angel is one of those female badass protagonists written by misandric feminists that are terrible at writing, who think this is what a strong woman looks like and behaves, when in reality they just wrote a completely awful human being in every sense and just made a character that nobody likes. I'm looking at you, Captain Marvel. Funny thing is, Angel in the original manga was the person who got turned into a cyborg after being critically injured, not Raiden. In fact, the anime kinda hints at this possibly being a thing, as Tarkin shows her a gun that is so powerful that it could break a normal person's arm, propositioning her about possibly taking the same procedure Raiden did, but she doesn't, and takes the gun anyway. The second question: why wasn't the anime just about taking on the psychic trio and decide to not throw out the political mumbo jumbo? You know what my issue with this anime is? It's not so much when things are happening that it's terrible. In fact, when things are blowing up, people are getting their brains blown out, and it becomes Gore City and Angel and others are cussing up a storm, ironically is when it's the most fun. It's when the anime just stops to have its melodramatic moments and has to rely on its dialogue to tell a story is truly when the anime is at its absolute worst. From its questions about morality of justice to its political quote-unquote intrigue to even its uncomfortable anti-Semitic. Oh fuck, I forgot. Yeah, it's time I address the elephant in the room. Later on in the anime, Taki, the head of the special unit, ends up planting a bug in his superior's office because of his suspicion regarding his request that the special unit cease all investigation regarding the psychics, only to find out that his superior orders the local SWAT team to eliminate them. But apparently the contents of the H-file reveals that the Toa Electric Company, for some reason, wants to use Hokkaido as a site to dump nuclear waste because... And the corrupt fuckers responsible for giving the order to the Toa Electric Company?
That'd make the place uninhabitable. Why would a Japanese state company like Toa Electric do a thing like that?
Ah, well, it turns out Toa Electric's not as Japanese as you may think. Although a state company, it's in actual fact 75% owned by Americans.
Americans?
Yep. The Jews! I'm not even kidding. This is actually real. No, really. While Manga Video changed the lines in the English sub and dub and changed them to say the Americans, which thankfully Discotheque Media kept the original subs referring to them as the Jewish Americans, seemingly implying that the majority of America in Angel Cop is run by the Jews. Which just begs the question as to why it was even included at all, considering that this is the only time it was brought up. and afterwards not really brought up ever again. So not only does it come off as uncomfortably anti-Semitic, it also just fails to make any real point or cohesive message that's meaningful in any way other than Jews bad, which is just lazy. You know what though? This anime reminds me of another anime that did it better. Ghost in the Shell. Specifically, Standalone Complex, believe it or not. No, I'm serious. Ironically enough, this anime really did remind me of Ghost in the Shell, as even though the film came out in 95, Angel Cop finished its run in 94. In fact, Gits and Angel Cop have some similarities. Both involve a secret anti-terrorist group whose main character is a woman that on occasion gear up to have spec ops missions that results in firefights and kick-ass action, but also has moments where it stops to ask philosophical and ethical questions about humanity, the ethics of politics, the federal government and the military, and even what it means to be just in a morally gray world filled with corruption. The main difference between Gits and Angel Cop is that Angel Cop is fucking dumb. Look, as much as I ragged on Sho Aikawa, as I will fully admit he has worked on and penned scripts for otherwise good anime, his writing for Angel Cop is just awful, with go nowhere plot points, moments that almost seem to suggest that he had certain things to say but just doesn't, and even the plot inconsistencies. You can tell this is definitely one of his worst works. What can you expect from the same guy who in 2018 was asked to list his 10 best episodes he's worked on? At the top of his list, I shit you not, was Urotsuka Doji, Legend of the Demon Womb, a hentai that also involves a Hitler Nazi subplot and a quote, Nazi death rape machine. You can't make this shit up. Alright, let's just finish this shit up. After being betrayed by their own government, the special unit goes into hiding in an effort to expose the corruption. However, this results in many of the team members being killed off by Lucifer, the main antagonist of this anime, causing both Brian, May, and Hermione to turn heel and help the special unit out, but this results in Hermione being killed off. Eventually, Special Forces raid their HQ, which leads to RoboCop holding them off and wrecking house outside. The Spec Ops forces, however, infiltrate the building, and Angel attempts to hold them off, killing some here and there, even using the revolver, which again supposedly has the recoil that could break normal people's arms, but not hers for some reason. Cause you know, fuck consistency. If you're going to have a weapon that powerful that can supposedly break people's arms, but doesn't, just remove that plot point entirely. In comes the Black Knight to save Princess Peach from being cornered. However, he gets injured from an RPG, but manages to blow the rest of them away.
Raiden, are you okay?
I'm fine. See?
Thank God, I was getting worried.
You've changed. Now that I've become a machine, you're worried about me. But you didn't spare me a second thought that day I crashed.
Again, anime, thanks for doing my job for me. The fact that Raiden points out how much of a heel turn Angel made all of a sudden giving a shit about Raiden just makes Angel as a character seem more and more lazy and badly written. This is the same woman that left him for dead without a second thought, and really her heel turn to being a babyface makes no sense, as it's not like we see any sense of character growth at all. It just happens for no reason. It just isn't earned. Later on, Brigitte, who's still on the rampage, ends up fighting against Murphy, who manages to get some good shots in and delivers one of my favorite lines in the entire anime.
You bastard! You've underestimated the power of Japanese technology, you evil bitch!
Okay. Best line in the anime with a fucking bullet. He ends up putting some holes in her chest using a hidden laser gun in his arm and putting a laser beam right through her head, which somehow doesn't finish her off. How? Well, it seems like Raiden is done for. Angel, who finally wants to make herself useful for a change. Oh god, okay. What is with that armor? It looks terrible. What's with the spiked pauldrons? Was that really necessary? In any case, Angel, armed to the teeth and a motorcycle, finally attempts to give Brigitte a bad day.
What are you gonna do? Try and arrest me?
I'm not here to take you in, I'm here to take you out.
You people still underestimate me.
You're wrong. You're finished.
We'll see. What?
I know, right? How did she avoid that pile of rubble? From Angel's perspective, the rubble's coming dead on right at her, and all she does is move slightly out of the way like Han Solo in the special edition of A New Hope.
Yes, I bet you have.
I don't care what anyone says, what is canon to the franchise or not. Han shot first. Well, in any case, she blinds her and even gets a good shot on target. Brian May cornering her, however, she manages to get away.
Hang in there, Raiden. Dr. Ichihara gave me these power cells for you. They'll recharge you. He told me that once they were installed, you'd be okay again. Listen, Raiden, I don't know if you can hear me, but, well, I've been thinking about what you once told me about protecting the innocent. You were right. It's far more important than following the orders of some politician. They're all so corrupt. Bastards. Don't worry, I'll finish Lucifer, protect Ichihara, and uncover the politicians behind all this. They'll not get away with it.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Where did this heel turn come from? One moment she wouldn't think twice about putting a bullet in a child to kill a terrorist, and the next she sees the light of doing the right thing and comfortably falling in love with him out of nowhere and kissing him while he's unconscious. Which, let's be honest, it's pretty creepy when you think about it. Let's not pretend that if the shoe was on the other foot and this was Raiden doing this to Angel, he would have gotten Me Too'd faster than he could say Dan Schneider child foot fetish. Seriously, what is with the foot thing? But because it's a woman who, no mincing words about it, is sexually assaulting Raiden while he's unconscious, it's A-okay. Fuck you. Brian, whose psychic powers made him a little worse for wear, attempts to fight her again. Angel running into Brian, who gives him a...
First, I want you to take this. It's a nutritional energy bomb.
You know what? Fuck it. Who rejects it at first, Angel, for once, rightfully calling Brian an idiot for refusing to take something that would help him, and then takes it anyway. What a waste of fucking time. Brigitte heals herself by summoning her inner Tetsuo. Taki, Angel's chief, confronts his superior about his corruption.
I see I'm not the only one around here who took the precaution of a bulletproof vest, but it won't do you any good, Taki, because at the end of the day, this little dispute's going to be settled by who has the most firepower. And if I was a betting man, which I am, I wouldn't give your Smith & Wesson police chief special very good odds against my Uzi machine pistol, which is far superior. But then when it comes to the really important things in life, you've always had a knack for making the wrong decisions, Taki.
Holy shit, man. How is he not out of breath? Credit to where that's due, because that actor really tried to make that sound as natural as it could. Brian fights Brigitte and attempts to kill her, but uses electrokinesis against him and almost kills him. Angel finds Brigitte, and against Angel's best judgment, she decides to attack Brigitte with a sword and manages to get her in the hand, but manages to get punched in the face for her troubles. Raiden pimps on in with his laser hand, cutting hers off, and regretfully saving Angel, allowing her to stab Brigitte in the gut, giving him the opportunity to give Angel an opening to kill her by... well...
All right, Angel, here's the plan. I'm gonna hold her down, and while I've got her, you shoot both of us with the mag. You what? My armor is covered in an anti-psychic coating, which is highly toxic to psychics such as yourself. When it gets hit by a shell from the Magnum, it'll explode, and shards of it'll rip straight through you. There's no way you can survive.
Oh, what the fuck? That has to be one of the dumbest and most contrived things I've ever heard. I get the whole shoot me in the back of the head while I hold Brigitte still so you can kill us both thing. Although, to be fair, why wouldn't she just step to the side and just blow Brigitte's brains out instead? But the cherry on the diarrhea snow cone is Raiden mentioning the anti-psychic coating that is poisonous to psychics. It's like Sho Aikawa just stopped giving a fuck. But you want to know what the real whipped cream topping on top of all this is? It's not the anti-psychic coating shit. It's this line.
What are you waiting for? We haven't got all day. Come on, Angel, get him. You can do it. Shoot me through the back of the head. Hurry.
All right, I'll do it. Straight through the back of the head, like you say. But if this is justice, then I'm a banana.
Holy shit, that one is bad. And you know what makes this even worse? She didn't even hit him in the back of the head on the first shot at point blank range. It's not like she's trying to shoot him from a mile away. It's literally in a small fucking hallway in close proximity from each other. Want to know how many times it takes to finally kill them both? Go on, guess. 4 times! And the gun still doesn't break her arms. Fuck you, anime. Fuck you. Let's just end it. After that bullshit, the corrupt assholes fly off in their chopper only to be blown up by one of Taki's bugs, ending on one of the laziest ending dialogues in an anime ever.
This was the end of the line for the Special Security Force, but they took down the corrupt government officials with them. In the media, all the killings were put down to terrorist activity, and once again, the only real victims of the conflict were truth, freedom, and justice.
The end, I suppose. Holy shit, this anime sucks like a smoker trying to kick a bad habit. It's truly one of the worst animes I've ever seen, and you will truly feel much dumber for having seen it. But does it deserve to be destroyed? Not quite. Oh sure, by the end I was just begging for the sweet release of death, but after I took some time to think about it in its entirety, it was more entertaining than I expected it to be. In fact, as a case study on how to not write a screenplay, this would be a great watch. The only thing that pisses me off to no end is the shitty writing that's trying to be smart when it's not, tonal inconsistencies, and above all, its near 3-hour running time. If they manage to shorten the film, tighten up the writing a bit, and just make it more of a fun, over-the-top, gory action fest, I could totally see Angel Cop as an underrated cult classic. But as it is now, it's nothing more than a relic that time forgot about. And probably for the best. If you really are curious and want to punish yourself with a so bad it's almost kind of good anime, it's still in print for about $30. Personally, I wouldn't recommend paying that much for it. But sometimes you have to watch some terrible schlock to truly appreciate the greats. But next time, I'm not going to be looking at a great title. Instead, I'll be taking a look at something that is bad, and it didn't have to be. I'm going to be taking a look at something pretentiously bad. Till next time.